Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at what has been done to the shelf layout. Progress has been a little slow, if only because I'm waiting on parts and materials, and this is the first time I've ever really built a layout actually. But some progress has been made. We'll start down here. So this set of track has already been secured to the foam. Feeder wires have been soldered, as have the rail joiners been soldered. Those wires go all the way through to the bottom and they're just kind of bundled up there. Feeders have also been soldered on that piece of rail as well. And then this switch has not been secured down yet, but you can see there are these two channels. Now I should mention this first channel here was cut by mistake. I didn't realize the distance between there and there is much less, about 2 inches less than the width of one of these shelves, and I want this to be able to be, I want the other longer shelf to come out this way or go that way. I want that option, so that's why these tracks are kind of equidistant from the edge there. But that meant that this channel had to be recut, and what this channel is this is for manual switching. So it's just a piece of piano wire in some tubing, and it's a very effective method of switching. I didn't know how I was going to originally do this. I thought I would honestly just switch with my hand and that'd be it, but honestly I like how clean that is and how simple it is to do. So essentially the way I did this was a little backwards. I should not have laid that piece of standard gauge track before doing this. It's secured to the foam now, so I had to work around that. But I carved a channel, kind of a V-shaped channel, and then using a long drill, this is the drill bit that I'm using to drill through the shelf actually for the feeder wires. I actually just went in through the side, just under the surface, went as far as I could with it until it met up with the channel, and then just slid the styrene rod into place, and voila. I ended up doing that down here as well for these shorter channels. Now you can see where I drilled the holes in the side there, so that'll get a styrene piece of tubing, and piano wire will go here and we'll meet up with these two switches here, so I can manually operate them. Now this section of track is not actually secured just yet. As I'm waiting right here, I'm going to be putting I think it's a Blair Line loading dock laser cut wood kit, and it's about, I think, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches wide. I just want to make sure I get that in place and check clearances before I secure this section of track. That being said, feeders have been soldered to this piece of flex track. This section has been soldered here. It will be soldered here, and of course there's feeders here, and this section, this brake section, has been soldered as well. The broad gauge track will also get feeders eventually, and of course I'll mention that the rods here, these styrene rods for the switches, these channels, at least this channel, has been filled in with the adhesive that I used. It's holding the foam to the shelf and the foam pieces to each other. It's pretty flexible, so I'm not worried about it cracking or anything, and it's compatible with the foam. Of course, you can see this strange white material. I decided to go ahead and give a test using the modeling paste, this acrylic modeling paste from Michaels, and it's flexible. You can see I mixed in some of this adhesive with the modeling putty, and it worked just fine to cover up those cracks. And I think once I move over to this area, I'll cover this terrain and this will all get filled in, no trouble. And it should take paint relatively easily. This section is going to be relatively flat as opposed to the longer section, which will have more terrain features. But I just wanted to test it out and get it in between the rails here and just have a flat sort of rough terrain, some dirt and gravel, and there'll probably be some grass along here somewhere as well. I've gone ahead and turned the shelf on its side to give you an idea of what's going on the under area, I guess. So I drilled this hole with a Forstner bit, feed the wires through, but I can't do that for the entire thing, so I ended up drilling with that long drill bit through here, and it's kind of difficult to feed these wires through because the shelf itself is hollow. You can see, it's hollow on the inside. It's a floating shelf, so it has to be lightweight, but that means feeding the wires through is kind of difficult. So what I ended up doing is using a small stir straw used for stirring coffee and sticking that through and finding the other side, and then you feed the wire through, and just like that you can pull it through, and that's pretty much it. Made it a lot easier to get the wires fed. So now the only other thing I need to do is there will be a section of this cut out, and I'm going to be mounting some terminal blocks for the wires. They're not going to be sitting here on the outside, of course. They're going to be fed through the inside. But I want to be able to access it as well. So that's just one thing I've been considering and trying to figure out. I can understand now why people build their own benchwork as opposed to using finished shelves like this. It makes the wiring much easier if you're just going through one layer of wood, I guess. But you know what? It's fine. It's a little bit of problem solving here and there, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So that's going to do it for this one. I know it's kind of a short update, but it's a slow-going project, all things considered. I'm really just waiting on that Blair line kit to put that little dock that will go in between the standard gauge and narrow gauge sections, and then I'll end up laying the rest of the track, securing it. That section will be secured and soldered in place, and then we'll probably start groundwork after the switch machines are installed, or switch machines after the point controls, the manual point controls. And then eventually a fascia, I guess is how you pronounce it, will be installed, a small panel in front here. That's why this is sticking out, so I can have enough material here to cut it back later. And then eventually we'll have the NCE power cap will be installed as well. The panel, I'm going to use two of these actually. I'm going to have one installed on the small section and one on the larger section. So if I wanted to run one or the other by itself, I can. At least that's the plan. So besides the Blair line dock kit, we're just waiting on some terminal strips for the feeder wires, and then we'll go ahead and get everything mounted and in place. So it is slow going, but I'm excited about the progress so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.